I know I usually focus on baking, but one of the things I really love is anything fermented. I mean, fermentation is huge, and the word itself is kind of like gross, but anything fermented is one of my favorite dishes. I love sauerkrauts, I love pickles, and natural fermentation is really healthy. It's really good for your gut, and it is delicious too. It's great for side dishes or anything. So today I'm gonna make a Latin-inspired curtido, which is a Central American relish of sorts, and it is so delicious. The first time I tried it, I knew I had to learn to make it, and now it has become my favorite. This relish has cabbage and carrots and jalapeños and onion, and it is so good. It's really simple, and we're just gonna throw it together and let it ferment for a few days. To start, you just want to take your cabbage, take off any of the outer leaves that are extra limp. Sometimes when they sit there in the supermarket, they're limp. I also usually try to buy organic vegetables for this because you want all that goodness and you don't want any of the pesticides or any type of thing on there to prevent the fermentation process. After you take the outer leaves off the cabbage, just cut it down the middle, take out the core. I just like to make a V cut with my knife to take out the core. And then cut it into any size piece you're gonna wanna bite. I like to do mine into about thirds on each half of the head and then slice it thinly. Throw that right into a large bowl and then repeat with the other head. Next, just have finely shredded carrots. You can do these in a food processor, you can buy them pre-done, you can do it any way you want, you just want them fairly thinly sliced. Throw the carrots right in with your cabbage and then slice up the jalapeños. Just cut the tops off. Now, if you don't like too much spice, you can of course take the seeds out because that's where the spice is. I, of course, love spice, so I keep all of them in there. And you may want to wear gloves if you're sensitive. I didn't, and I caught myself again with a little bit of burning hands. So if you're worried, you might want to put on gloves. Better be safe than sorry. I just like to slice mine in thin strands, kind of like the carrots, and then throw them right in there with everything else. And then to finish, you need some onion. Cut it down the middle, take off the outer skin, and slice it thinly. Mix all the vegetables together just so they're well combined and mixed. And then you want the salt. Salt is extremely important. This is what's gonna help break it down. It's gonna ferment with the salt, and it's also gonna preserve it. Sprinkle the salt on and then work it in and really massage it with your hands. This can take around 5 to 8 minutes. You really want to work it in, really massage it, and you're really going to notice that the mixture starts to condense. You're starting to break down those cell walls in the cabbage and vegetables, bring out all that moisture, and the moisture is needed because that's going to help preserve it too. So just keep mixing it until you really start noticing the juices coming out of it. After you've broken it down, you can just add in your oregano. That's what really gives this the great flavor, and a little bit of cumin. Mix that until it's really well combined. And then you just want to put it into either a good fermentation crock or jar, something with a lid but that doesn't seal tightly. You know, the juices in this are really going to start to work and bubble, and that air is going to need to escape. I happen to have a fermentation crock. I know not everyone does. Maybe you do. Good for you. But any type of crock is going to work, or some type of jar, but you just want to put cheesecloth on it if you're using a jar without a lid. Pack it in there, and I really mean pack it. Make sure as you're putting it in, push it down with your fist or your hand to make sure those juices are coming up. When it's all in there, you just want to make sure there's enough juice that covers just the top of this wonderful dish. If it isn't covered, the very top could actually spoil, so just make sure to keep pressing until enough juice comes out of the vegetables to cover the top. Then you want to place on a weight. I actually have a fermentation weight or a pickle weight. Any type of weight like this is going to work. If you don't have one like this, use some heavy canned items or a jar filled with water, anything that's going to really weight it down and make sure that moisture stays over top of this mixture. Place on the lid or cheesecloth, just remember not a tight-fitting lid, and then you're done. This is the fermentation process, and this can go anywhere from 4 to 6 or even more days. The fermentation process is actually where it develops its flavor and its unique properties. So this can go anywhere from 3 to 7 days. I go closer to the 7-day mark because I like the flavor as it gets a little bit tangier. But you can start checking it after just a few days and see if the flavor is good and make sure it's still covered in its own juices. If not, just add a bit of water. Once it's ready, you can just pack it into jars. I love using these Weck jars. They have a great seal on them, good clamps, and they're pretty. Pack them in really tightly. You're gonna really be able to work it down in, and again, you want those juices to come out and cover it. Clamp on the lids and keep them in the fridge. Once it's at the fermentation level you want to put it in the fridge to stop that process or really slow it down. This is such a good relish. It's good on hot dogs, on sandwiches. I actually sometimes even put it in soups or use it as a side dish. I have come to love it, and it is such a great way to step into the fermentation world. I cannot wait for you to try this and hope that you love it as much as I do. Love to hear from you on Instagram, on Facebook, and Twitter. Make sure to talk to me and tell me what you're up to.